Hello and welcome to my first wrap-up of 2017. This year I'm not going to be doing monthly wrap-ups, but I'm gonna be wrapping up every 5 books, so there isn't like some months where I haven't read anything at all, or some months where I've read like a whole bunch, so I'm just gonna slowly wrap it up every 5 books. And I've already read 10 books, but this video is only going to be featuring the first 5 books or 5 pieces that I read, because it's not really 10 books that I've read this year, but yeah. I'm just gonna stop talking about like explaining things and just get into the wrap up. The first thing I read this year was Finding Cinderella by Colleen Hoover, and this is like a short story following one of her books, but it's about different characters, so you can read it without having read the book. I don't remember what the book is called, but the short story is called Finding Cinderella, and I didn't really like it that much. It was okay, but I just had some problems with it that were just like, I don't really know how to explain what it was. I think it was mostly the characters that I was just not a fan of the way they reacted to certain things happening in this, and I didn't really enjoy it that much. Then I listened to What Love Can Do by Louisa May Alcott, and this was actually a fun way of listening to this extremely short story. I think it's around 20 pages or something, but I listened to Sam from Sam's Nonsense read it on YouTube, and I'll leave the link down below if I remember it, to her video. I think it's around 15 minutes or something, and this was a really sweet Christmas story about, I don't know how to explain it without spoiling it because it's so short, but it's a Christmas story and about spreading cheer and doing something nice for other people, and I really enjoyed it. Then I read Forever by Judy Blume, and this is the first Judy Blume book that I've ever read, and I actually kind of like these editions of her books because it's just really simple with a cherry on the front cover, and then like the pages are red. This is about Catherine and Michael falling in love, and they're each other's first love and each other's first times, and it's about, it's a coming of age story about boyfriends and girlfriends and sex and stuff like that. This is obviously an old book because the way the clothes are described, it is obvious that it's written in the 70s, but despite that I really enjoyed it and found it to have a lot of good points throughout, and felt like it was good at portraying an honest view on how first love can be. Then I read On the Other Side by Carrie Hope Fletcher, and I had been looking so much forward to this, but I was a bit disappointed. It wasn't as good as I'd hoped. I loved the beginning and the whole premise of this book, which is about Evie, and she dies at, I don't remember how old she is when she dies, but she dies and she kind of wakes up as a 27-year-old in her old apartment building, and she can't get into her apartment. And it is this whole concept of when you die you get to the most happy place, like the place where you were most happy throughout your life, and if you have something that you haven't dealt with in your life, you have to in a way kind of resolve that, so no loose ends, otherwise you can't move on. And the whole premise of this was amazing, and I really loved the premise, but I just felt like it lacked in execution. I felt like, it's not a bad thing, but the character of Evie is much like Carrie herself, and that's fine, but it just felt like some of the characters came out a bit flat, and Evie seemed kind of immature for a person who is in, I think, in her 70s when she dies, and like I can understand, like considering her background, why Evie as a 27-year-old would seem immature, but the Evie that dies should and does have all the experiences of the entire life, so I just felt like, she was a bit immature. I understand the insecurity and the lack of courage to face what has been going on in your life and the problems that you haven't resolved, but yeah, it just bugged me, and I'm so sad because I enjoyed and I love the premise of this book, and I enjoy her brother's books and her sister-in-law's books, so yeah, maybe it's because it's her first novel, I don't know, but yeah, I'm definitely gonna give her a chance if she writes anything else that I might be interested in. And the 5th book I read in 2017, still feels weird to say 2017, was The Bad Beginning by Lemony Snicket. And this is the first book in A Series of Unfortunate Events by Lemony Snicket, which is, well, like, his real name is Daniel Handler, but yeah. And I have read the first 10 in Danish when I was a kid, and the last 3 were never translated. I don't know if they have been now, but at that point it didn't look like they were going to be translated. And then I decided to buy the entire thing, like in a box set, and that was ages ago. And then with the Netflix show coming out, I thought I have to be on top of this and read these books. So I started with The Bad Beginning, of course, because it's the first book, and I can remember what happened in the first 3, but then the next 7 I can't remember, and the last 3 I haven't read, so of course I just wanted to binge read all of it, and I absolutely loved it. This is an amazing children's book. It's basically about the Baudelaire children, Violet, Klaus and Sunny, and they lose their parents in a terrible fire, and they have to go and live with a relative, and that relative is Count Olaf, and they have no idea who he is, and all he wants is to get their fortune. And they are children's books, but they are dark, and they are also hilariously funny, and I couldn't recommend them anymore. So those were the first 5 books that I read this year. I really hope you enjoyed it, and hope I'll see you next time. Bye bye.